For some reason, I heard stakeholders as stinkholders.
I mean, yeah. Yes. I'm totally cool if we are
The stinkholders.
Yeah, stakeholders are stinkholders.
Yeah.
They hold a fair amount of stink. I need to update you on what's been going on the Scissor Man situation.
Okay, yeah.
2 weeks ago, we did an episode about Scissor Man for the Clock Tower episode because it's spooky month and we wanted to do something spooky. Last week, I updated you that I had a Scissor Man nightmare, that I'd had a very childlike nightmare dream about having to come to blows with Scissor Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Last night, I was taking my dog for a walk, and the sun sets quite early in Seattle at this point. So, it was like 6 o'clock and it's pretty dark by this point.
Mm-hmm.
And no joke, on the other side of the street, there's a man, hood up, shears out.
No.
I swear to you.
No.
He went over, I swear to you, he went over and like snipped off a little bit of a low-hanging tree. And I was like, is this what you're doing right now? Anyway, he goes down and like looks into a house of somebody. Like there's a recently built house and like all of the neighbors are very interested in it. And for whatever reason, they feel like they can just like go look in it.
Uh-huh.
I would never be so bold, but this dude just like...
I would never.
It seems very weird to like, I'm just going to go take a look at what's going on in there.
Hey, homeowner energy.
Like, just because somebody doesn't live there doesn't mean that's not a weird thing to just like put your face against the window and look in there.
People do it all the time.
People do it. Anyway, so he did that, then came back down. I'm like watching this dude like a hawk because I'm like, Scissor Man, I know you. I've seen this darkness. I know what you're doing out there.
I know this story. I've seen this episode.
Yeah, we've been covering Scissor Man for like 3 weeks now. We know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he goes down the street, goes back into his house. I'm like, I have found where Scissor Man lives. Down the street from me, apparently.
So you're gonna get a Molotov cocktail and just burn that bitch down, right?
I think what I'm gonna do is go talk to Scissor Man.
Make a friends with Scissor Man so he doesn't snip you?
Yeah, I'm hoping I can either befriend him or like convince him that the scissor is not the way.
Get him to think twice before he snips again.
Yeah, see if we can have some conversations to figure out why do you feel like you need to snip? Why do we resort to scissors every time you feel, some sort of way?
You're choosing the dialogue tree path of solving this mission.
This is the Paragon route.
This is the Paragon route, yeah.
I clicked the left trigger, or whichever one it is for Paragon, and I'm going to go talk to Scissor Man.
You have high charisma and intelligence, so you have a good chance.
But low in strength, to be fair. So this mission could break pretty bad.
It could go bad if you're not careful still. Could get snipped.
I should bring Garrus, see what he's doing. Hello, it is Video Game Podtimism. It is the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. It's spooky month, and my name is Chase.
Yeah, my name is David, and it is still spooky month.
And it's still spooky month. Still holds true.
We're still spooking.
We're still spooking. There's this episode and then probably one more that may or may not be delivered on the 31st. I'm hoping it will be, but I'm also going on vacation right before that, so we'll fucking see what happens. Yeah. You may be getting a very spooky November 1st or 2nd.
You're going to get what you're going to get, and you're going to like it.
Or you might not. That's an option available to you, but the delivery date is on us.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey, have you been playing video games?
I have been.
A lot from what I hear.
A number of games.
Could you tell me about some of those?
Yeah, still poking around in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Sure.
I have doomed my home island to a plague because I set free some plague-ridden villagers earlier.
Yes.
They swore to me that they're probably anti-vaxxers or something like that, and they were just lying to me to get on that airplane out of Kefalonia. But now Kefalonia is just in a pallor of gray mist, and people are just dying on the streets. So that feels good. But the game's so fun. The boats. I just love I think I've said this before, but whoever was in charge of making the boat and water physics at Ubisoft, seriously, a raise, man.
They need a raise.
They killed it. Good game. Good game so far still.
Sure, yeah.
Still playing Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes, you're getting farther into this.
Yeah, I'm about 10 hours in now.
Okay, that's a lot of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I'm in the Monsters Inc. portion of the game at the moment.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It is. It's okay.
Is the game getting any different, or is it kind of the same story so far?
The game, I have come to the revelation that it would have been an amazing game on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
It would have been a good to decent game on the PlayStation 4. On the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's if it's worth the time of somebody who hasn't already invested a lot of time into the other games.
Yeah.
It feels pretty dated in a lot of ways. I'm finding more fun in it.
Yeah.
I kind of have to start thinking about it as a game that is the sequel to a PS2 game,
sure,
as opposed to a modern game. And then it's a little bit more, I can find more of the joy in it when I think of it that way.
Yeah, it's awfully Podtimistic of you trying to reframe your own vantage point to make it easier to play.
I'm really getting an exercise in Podtimism with this game.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of what made the first two games great is kind of missing in this one.
Huh.
Which is the sense of wonder and newness with every world. For one reason or another, they don't feel quite as spectacular when I enter a new world as it did when I entered a new world in Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the cinematic quality of other games has just ratcheted up like 3 or 4 or 5 levels since Kingdom Hearts 2 came out.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the fact that it's been in development for so long, and so some of the levels were just finished so long ago that they just didn't go back and add more details and like the finer points that would make it really feel like a next gen experience. I'm playing this. next. I'm playing this game 3 generations of consoles after the last game that came out.
Previous entry, yeah.
So it's and that shows. But there is still fun to be had in the game. It's kind of just mindless hack and slash action with set pieces kind of built in between.
Yeah.
So like when you hit a certain like a combo score or something like that, you fill up gauges by hitting enemies. You can do different attacks that are pretty visually entertaining. I mean, it doesn't really change the difficulty of the game that much. I mean, most of the difficulty is that the enemies just have higher life totals. That's it.
Yeah.
So being able to do larger moves that are more powerful is beneficial, but there's not much in the way of strategy like there is in modern third-person action games where you're really trying to like dodge and hit and like that Dark Souls type of gameplay, because Kingdom Hearts 2 came out before Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls.
Before it was really like hot.
Before it was a thing. So it's hard to... I feel like it might be a little unfair to compare it to modern games, but that also doesn't feel good to say that because it is a modern game that was released
it did come out
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's its own worst enemy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's almost too much Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, when you graduate high school and there's like the cool kid and you come back like 5 years later after graduating undergrad and he's still like the same. You're like,
he hasn't done anything.
He hasn't done anything. He hasn't improved himself or anything like that. And this is not putting anybody on blast, just to be clear. But it feels like that. It feels like someone who was really cool back in the day decided not to change at all, and then you come back and you're like, just kind of left flat.
The world has changed around Kingdom Hearts.
Very much so. Kingdom Hearts has not changed. The world has changed, and now it feels like a relic.
Yeah.
But there is still some fun to be had in there. The visuals are pretty good in some places. The team-ups are pretty fun.
Yeah.
Some of the special moves you can do are very visually engaging. But yeah, I think that's probably what stands out to me as good about the game so far.
Is there like story happening in the way that's like big Kingdom Hearts stuff going on at all? Other than like Woody has to go save Bo Peep from Pete or Maleficent or whatever happens in this one.
It's mostly Disney characters so far.
Okay,
I have been. There is a new weird boy on the block. Anime boy on the block who's evil, who I don't know. I think he's maybe Riku's nobody, but I don't know. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, though, is that the voice acting has improved a little bit.
Okay, cool.
I was really curious as to who the voice actors were and if they got like some of the actual talent. Yeah. And I was kind of shocked to see that they actually got some of the actual voice actors to play these characters, and that it just didn't sound good. I don't know if it was like they just came in and just did one take and that was it, and then just like went home.
Notes.
Like, it's the original guy who did Hercules.
Really? Wow.
It's the original dude and the original voice actress who did Meg. And I thought, sounded kind of not great, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyone who's played the demo would know. They sounded very... It wasn't great.
I got through that part too, and like it felt really stiff. Like, I don't know. It didn't feel as like urgent as it did in even the other games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there was a Tangled world, and I was like, I was playing it. I'm like, wow, this guy's doing a really bad like Zachary Levi impersonation, and it was actually Zachary Levi. It was actually him. I was like, why is he doing this weird accent? Like, he didn't do an accent in the movie, from what I remember. It was odd. It was odd to say the least. But the Monsters Inc. cast brought the heat. They did well.
Oh, really?
They did well. Yeah. I don't know if it's the actual actors, but whoever the voice actors were did good.
Yeah,
did good.
John Goody is
Johnny
Goody
Good and Billy Crist.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's been uneven, to say the least.
Yeah,
as a game,
it sounds like it.
It's all over the place, but I'm enjoying riding the waves.
This game it's very interesting watching you play this.
Yeah. Also, there will be random difficulty spikes. Mm-hmm. Where you'll be kicking an enemy, you'll be fighting an enemy, not kicking their ass, but you're just like going, whacking them because they have so much health.
Yeah.
And then they'll do one move and you'll die. And you're at full health. And you're like, what
happened? Yeah.
Happened to me last night. I was fighting this boss for like a good 10 minutes just because it had so much health.
Boy.
I died like with some random attack that I never did before, with like just a sliver of its health bar left.
Oh gosh.
And I rage quit.
Yeah, no, that is grounds for quitting.
That was it for Kingdom Hearts that night.
That's hellish. That's not good. That's interesting to hear. I feel like it's odd talking about a game that is like out of time, because we do a lot of playing games that are not modern. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not intentionally retro or anything, but I think a lot of the intent of good games is usually to go and play a game and see what's good about it. And there have definitely been games that came out 20 years ago that I was like, this game is fine, but I'm having a good time playing it. Whereas like I didn't have that experience with Kingdom Hearts 3. Mm-hmm. And so like my appetite for maybe mechanics that have aged less gracefully is certainly high. I'm very willing to put up with that.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the cocktail that Kingdom Hearts has got just really, it gets me in a weird space. I don't know. It's hard to deal with. Yeah. I'm not trying to like dunk on it or, come off far too negative about Kingdom Hearts, but I think it's just a shame because I have such a high regard for the series.
Yeah, it is it's disappointing, to say the least.
Yeah.
That it couldn't step its game up just a little bit more after so much time being developed. But I think either we got this or we got no game at all.
Yeah, it's totally possible that like they were just like, we need to ship this game. It needs to come out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of my belief.
Yeah. Well, cool. What else have you been playing?
I've also been playing Mighty Goose.
Mighty Goose. This is on Game Pass. I also downloaded Mighty Goose and I was like, ooh, what's up? What is this? But I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, it's just like a Metal Slug game, essentially, but you're a goose in like a metal exoskeleton suit with a big old gun.
Metal Slug being kind of like a side-scrolling
bullet hell,
kind of.
Yeah, with kind of punishing difficulty. Yeah, long side-scrolling levels with like power-ups you can get. So like your default is just like a single-shot blaster, but you can get shotguns and machine guns and explosives and stuff like that. It has a kind of distinctive style and feel to the game, a Metal Slug game. Like people feel kind of the visuals are kind of like thick in a way, if that makes sense.
They're like deeply detailed. I feel like in a lot of the Metal Slugs.
Yeah, but it's very much like a Metal Slug type game. But I played the first level. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. They have a little upgrade tree so you can improve your goose. They have different companions that can come with the goose to give them special powers and stuff. So you have Mighty Goose, and your first one you get is regular duck, which I thought was funny. Yeah. That's good. That was good. And I enjoyed so far the presentation of the game of just this essentially a space goose who has the personality of like a space marine war person.
Yep.
It's funny. It's just funny. And you can honk. Of course you can honk.
Oh, wow.
They got a honk button. Y. Press Y to honk.
That's great. I love that. Every Goose game deserves a honk.
You didn't actually make a Goose game if you didn't include that with a dedicated button to honk.
You're legally not allowed to have Goose in the title if you don't include a honk mechanic.
It is actually illegal. It's illegal. Little did you know, it's illegal to not allow you to honk in a Goose game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been silly fun.
Yeah.
I have also played and beaten Katana Zero.
Whoa, fast.
Yeah.
That was pretty fast.
I really enjoyed this game.
Yes,
it's really
I agree.
Good.
I had a similar experience when I played it. Just like absolutely blew through this video game.
Blew through it. It was kind of a frugal gamer sad moment. Frugal gamer crisis. Because it went off Game Pass.
Oh, yeah.
As I was playing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was maybe like 75% of the way through, and then should go to boot it up, and Microsoft's like, got a pony at 15 bones now.
I'm
that's
like, painful.
You bastards got me. This is the same amount of money as 1 month of Game Pass is. So now you already got me. You're already making a profit now at this point. But
it's worth it, though. That game is really good.
It's definitely worth it. The game is very fun. Very fun. It's like Celeste if it was a quick response, quick timing action game, essentially. That's kind of what the vibe I got was.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Hotline Miami in the way that like
that too,
you will walk into a room and there's like 3 or 4 dudes in there and you have to progress through the room. And you're just like a dude with a sword, essentially. Mm-hmm. You go through and you can just try a bunch of different approaches to get through it. And if you die, it just immediately spawns you back at the beginning.
Yeah, I love that. I love games that do that. Where it's just try again. Go again, go again, go again. No waiting. It's
great.
There's
very low punishment for experimenting or just trying something different.
But yeah, I like the gameplay. I liked the style. I liked the story was interesting.
I thought the story was great. It was like not complicated, but it was pretty interesting.
It wasn't complicated, but they used what they had to great effect, I thought.
Yeah.
And they're setting it up for a sequel of some sort, I assume. So I definitely will want to play that. Mm-hmm. And I really like the music too.
Oh, the music rules. Yeah, it's very good.
Like that level, spoiler alert, where you play as the other dragon.
Yes.
And just how the music changes and how like he jumps to bops to his music.
Yeah.
At a different rate than the dragon does when he like puts his little headphones in and like gets ready to kill people.
Yeah.
Very Baby Driver-esque with the putting in your headphones before you do some crazy shit.
True.
But no, really great game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I also played some games with you and Garen.
You did.
Garen shout out of the week.
Yes.
Played some Back 4 Blood.
We did.
Fun.
Yes, fun.
Zombies. And also some Split Gate, which was very fun.
We played both of these video games.
Good times.
I can jump in on the discussion with either of these because both of them are on my list too.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Back 4 Blood first?
Yeah, let's do it.
Did you play Left 4 Dead very much? Because that's what it like.
Yeah, I played 1 and 2.
To explain, like Back 4 Blood is pretty much Left 4 Dead. Like it is very specifically.
It's Left 4 Dead 3.
Yeah, pretty much. And so like they're very intentionally going after the aesthetic and game design of those games. Mm-hmm. I played 1 and 2, but not to the degree that a lot of people did. Like I see people who are fans of Left 4 Dead be like, oh yeah, I just played the ever-loving hell out of that game. And it's hard for me to tell why, but it never gripped me in that way of like, I couldn't play those scenarios over and over and over and over again. I really could only get through them like once or twice and then be like, okay, I think I got it. Mm-hmm. And so just the tale of that game where people would play it forever never really clicked for me. So it's been interesting playing Back 4 Blood with that context of like, is this game going to hook me in the way that the other ones kind of didn't? Because they felt good. I just didn't play them for very long. Mm-hmm. But yeah, playing it with you and Garen was very good.
Me, Garen, and Pajama Dad.
And Pajama Dad, who abandoned us in our time of need.
Pajama Dad. We did well, Pajama Dad.
Yeah, we beat that level.
Yeah, we beat that level and we got through Act 1, Pajama Dad, please.
I hope you're listening. So yeah, it was like super fun. I think these kind of games are like a treasure where you can just like play with your friends and kind of do something cooperatively. Mm-hmm. It is always difficult for me to like wrangle enough people to play a video game together. And so like to play one that is like, we all kind of know what we're doing. You know, it's a game where the goal is very defined. Yeah. It's fun. It's always good fun.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I thought the The shooting felt good.
Yeah. Which is important for a shooting video game.
Yeah, I feel like I've become kind of a curmudgeon in my older age about shooting in first-person shooters. It has to feel really good for me to pay attention. And I felt like this one felt solid.
There's just so many first-person shooters that like the margin for it feeling bad is like, I just don't really want to engage with it unless it feels phenomenal, because there are 100 other games that feel good to shoot in.
You gotta come correct. Gotta come. But yeah, that was good. Zombies have been done to hell, but I felt like they were interesting enough in this game. Yeah. But yeah, it was just, the big draw is just blasting zombies with your friends.
The cooperative part of it is definitely the draw there.
Yeah.
And I think it does it well. Like, I feel like so often games are multiplayer focused of like fighting other people. And I get why, right? Like that's something that it's hard to do with like a bot or something.
Yeah.
And so it's fun when a game is like, no, it's like not necessarily competitive. Like you're just kind of doing this cooperatively.
Yeah.
You know, I think something like Destiny does that really well for people shooting cooperatively to beat a boss or a raid or whatever like that. There is PvP in there too, but that sort of stuff is it feels of the same family tree.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. They have this like card system that they've implemented.
I was so confused about the card system.
It's a little confusing, and like I played the beta of this probably a month or so ago, and like they did more explanation this time, which I was definitely appreciative that they were able to sort of like adjust their like tutorial to that. And essentially the way that it works is that when you boot up into like a run of a campaign, the game will deal you like bad cards, essentially. Like, hey, the monsters are tougher, or kind of a risk card of like, you know, if you beat it within this time limit, you'll get more points or whatever. And then you yourself are able to pull from your own deck that you've created beforehand to get like various buffs or to help the team in certain ways. So if you have a card that lets you reload faster, you can use that, or to give the team more health or something like that. And over time you unlock other and better cards. I think initially it's almost not that important.
Yeah.
I failed to see how like, you know, having 20% more health is really going to pull us through. So yeah, I think like the card mechanic, I understand why they're doing it, to like essentially give the game like more hooks to get into you, to, you know, allow somebody to build a deck that is really specific to how they play, or to be able to like do a good like team comp. Like you could probably really go deep on that stuff with like people who you play with a lot.
Totally.
It's interesting to think about those things, but people who are just trying to like jump in, it's like almost overwhelming to be like, I really don't know what I need to do here at all.
Yeah, it feels kind of chutty to say, but I kind of didn't want to have to read that much to play the game. I just wanted to get in.
No, I mean, like that's fair. Like that's what you go to the game for. And like I get, yeah, like it feels hard to say I didn't want to read this much, but genuinely I didn't want to read that much.
I did not. Was it that line from The Simpsons? The president is like their Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I came here to lead, not to read.
That's it. That's the one. That's how I felt.
I think that's all I had to say about Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Did you want to touch on Splitgate?
Yes, it was an interesting experience because it felt like Halo and Left 4 Dead Night.
Yes, absolutely. Very like both of them images of other games, ghostly apparitions of other video games.
But very fun.
Yes,
I really enjoy Splitgate.
It's a good video game. I keep like taking some time away from it, and I'm like, is this as good as it felt like a month or so ago? And every time I'm like, it does feel really good. We played some game types that I hadn't played before in Splitgate. Of like, played Oddball, which was fun. Played one where like you have to like get kills on all of the other team members and have them be dead at the same time to win.
Yeah, you have to wipe the whole team before they respawn,
which I thought was really interesting. I hadn't played something like that before. It leads to this very interesting metagame of like, essentially every time you kill somebody, it takes a longer time for them to respawn. So like the first kill you get, the person will be down for like maybe a second or two. But by the time you've killed, you know, a 6th or 7th person, their respawns are coming up to like 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And so it becomes easier to get everybody because respawns are just so long. And so it was interesting. You have to kind of play it a certain way, right? Of like, is it worth it for me to go sprint out into the open to try and like draw some fire so we can maybe get a couple of kills to try and just rush them down immediately? Or do we just kind of play packy, try and pick one or two off until the respawns are just so long that like we're kind of able to roll over whoever we see? It was pretty good. It was
fun.
It's an enjoyable way.
It's a fun version of the game.
Yeah, totally.
Fun game type, I should say.
What else have you been playing? Anything?
I've fallen back into Hades.
Hell yeah. Just
Hades, yeah.
Hades, yeah. Just like no reason to go back other than like, it's a good video game.
I just opened my Switch up and I saw the thumbnail for it. I'm like, I could do a run. And then that became like a couple hours.
Yep. It happens so quickly. You fall down the rabbit hole so fast.
That's all. I'm not going to... I've talked about that game a lot, so I think that's all I'm going to say is that it's still good.
It's still
I'm
good.
still unlocking things. Or I guess at this point I'm unlocking like dialogue and like side story still. But yeah, still.
It's good stuff.
All right, that's it for what I've been playing. What have you been playing? I
think Koopa wants to tell you what he's been playing.
I've been playing Cattails.
I have been playing some games that I would like to tell you about now.
Let's hear it.
We already went over Back 4 Blood. We played that. I have been watching some streams of Far Cry 6. I didn't want to support this game financially.
Sure.
Because Ubisoft is a hellscape, and I'm trying not to necessarily like give them more money. Well, it seems like they are, I don't know, it has felt like there is a critical mass of people saying like, hey, maybe we shouldn't buy from this company. Whereas like sometimes you just see a company and like, there's just no way we're going to, not buy enough of this company's games to get them to change. But Ubisoft, I feel like there might be a world where that happens. Yeah, I won't go into it super hard just because like it's a little bit rough, but there's a lot of like just sexual misconduct going on within Ubisoft. It seems like maybe they tried to fix it and like probably did not actually in reality try to fix it. They were just like, yeah, we tried, we're doing it. And like nothing has changed.
We held a workshop.
Exactly. We asked some people on their lunch break to come watch a Zoom workshop. And so like that was the context of me like, I don't really want to like, go give them extra dollars, but I was recently going through this, I think it's RAWG. It's RAWG, this like online site for cataloging what games you've played, just like in general. And there's a couple of things it'll do. Like it'll pull in your PlayStation history if you wanted to, or the Xbox history, or your like Steam library, just to like, show what games you've played. And then you can just go through a list of Nintendo games and say, I've played this, I played this, I played this. And while that was incredibly fun, something I saw was like, I played a lot of Far Cry games over the years.
It's a lot of them.
And like, I loved 2. 2 I thought was like such an interesting experiment. 3 started getting closer to like what is a more modern game with, was it Voss? I think was the like big bad dude in that one.
Yeah.
And like that one had its problems, but to me, I was totally cool with that model of video games. And I think as time has gone on, it's become more challenging to engage with that. And I think specifically, Ubisoft on a shelf for a moment, just the game Far Cry, like since 5, it's been pretty tough for me to like really get on board, because in 5 they were invoking so much imagery of like, this one's going to be in America, the middle of America, like you know what that means. And I'm like, dude, it's like 2017 right now, shit is fucked. Let's get them, Far Cry, get them. And then they boot it up and they're like, I don't know, this dude just like is a drug dealer or something. And also at the end of the game, spoilers, he was right. Like it just sucked. I was like, this is not a good, satisfying story.
Yeah, pulled their punches.
They both pulled their punches, but sort of like presented their game as having this like very deep and intense like narrative. They're using imagery of games that invoke that sort of stuff. Like they make themselves look like it's going to be, a Last of Us sort of narrative game. And then it turns into a farce in like 10 minutes, They're like, oh, there's this really big bad guy and you got to go take him down. But also, here's this pig that you need to go chase around or something like that. And like, I don't necessarily like, care if those two things are mutually exclusive, but it is very weird to sell a game based on this is really intense, but also like, I don't know, maybe your main character just like likes killing people, which is like what's going on in Far Cry 6. Yikes. Not to mention like there's so much co-opting of this like Southern American sort of like revolutionary imagery that is initially I had the same reaction. I was like, man, I hope they could really do something with this. And I really hope they do. And again, it appears like that they are not doing that, that they like invoke the imagery of like how challenging and shitty it can be to live under these dictatorial regimes. And then like half the time, these people who are living in essentially Cuba, it's Yara in this game, but like it's very much Cuba. It is a country that has been kind of like stonewalled away from a lot of society. And they apparently went through some kind of like revolution in like the 60s or 70s. And, their cars are all from around that era and shit. So it's Cuba. It's Cuba. And so they invoke the imagery of like how it is to live under that sort of regime. game without really getting into the nitty gritty of that. Everybody's talking in this kind of like half English, half Spanish way. And like the reviews I've read around of like people who are, you know, Hispanic that are like, this is fucking stupid. This isn't how people talk. Like either let's pretend they're speaking Spanish and just have them speak English or something, or just do it in Spanish and have subtitles. But like this weird thing where they're using like Spanglish rhetoric or like shorthands for words. Like what does this mean? What are we doing here?
Yeah. So ridiculous.
It's very ridiculous and just it doesn't feel good at all. I want these games to be better, and I really like I don't mind the Ubisoft model of video games at all. Like I'm totally cool with having a shitload of things on a map to go do and that be the game.
Yeah.
Like it's not inventive. It's not original at this point, but I'm so cool with it. And it's just such a shame that like they're taking the easy way out with a lot of these like games and stories that they're telling. You know, the characters in these games are all just like caricatures of what people could be like. It's I don't feel like any of them are real at all. And that's a shame because like you could tell a good story here, even if it is farcical, right? You could have good characters and that would bring it kind of around to being good.
Yeah.
But it feels bad. It feels, I don't know. I was going to say like a little appropriative in the way that they're using this stuff. And like,
yeah,
it's hard for me to identify that. Cause like, I'm some fucking white dude. I don't know what I'm talking about, but like, but at the same time, it kind of matches the description of like using real world plight and real world struggles, using the imagery of that and invoking sort of the things that are said around those kind of events and what are real experiences. Like real people go through this shit and they are using it to sell a product that really only benefits stakeholders of a white company, you know, like
for some reason I heard stakeholders as stinkholders.
I mean, yeah. Yes. I'm totally cool if we are
the stinkholders.
Stakeholders are stinkholders.
Yeah.
They hold a fair amount of stink.
Yeah, I agree.
And so like it's just like what, like I don't know. It is challenging for me to say a lot of good things about this because I think it is just like morally reprehensible to benefit from the plight of somebody and then turn around and just be like, that's our video game. We're just selling it and that's it. Like, are you going to do anything about it? Like you guys had to do some research about how hard it is to live under these kind of regimes. And they're just like, maybe we just sell the video game and make another one next year.
It's just a product.
Yeah, so it's a shame. Like I said, I've played so many of these, and I want better for both Ubisoft to, you know, actually fucking do something, and then I want on the topic of these video games, I want them to actually like not pull their punch, like say the thing that they like I think are intending to say, but you know, in all the marketing they're like, oh, this isn't a political game. Like fuck off. That's that's so stupid.
Not true.
Not true. Like this comes up over and over and over again, and like the statement this game is not political is a huge political statement. Like it is so trying to dodge around saying something, and it just feels kind of feckless. And like I think there are probably writers in the game like development team who are like, I have something to say, and I'm sure Ubisoft was like, can we chill on saying something?
Some executive was like, please guys.
Yeah, we want this to be not a political game, so if you could just take out the actual like,
gotta be a team player here.
Yeah, it's whack. So I don't want to give more coverage to a game that like probably hasn't earned it at this point, but I did want to try and engage with this a little bit, just given the sheer fact that I've played so many of these and really want better for the series and for the people working there. It sounds hellish. So if you can, try and support unionization at Ubisoft because it sucks.
There you go.
I have also been playing Metroid Dread. I've also beaten Metroid Dread.
Nice.
This was a really good video game.
I liked it.
The Metroid Dread. Yes, I like this video game a lot. So I think everything I said last week still stands. It is an incredible example of a 2D Metroid game in ways that I really enjoy. I love the 2D Metroid games. None of what it's doing here is shockingly new, but it's doing it really well. Horizon Zero Dawn recently, and it reminds me a lot of the way that Horizon Zero Dawn just like crushed the open world game. Like they just did such a good job there. Good. And like in the same year that Breath of the Wild came out and kind of blew the doors off of like open world games.
What a year.
What a year, dude. Absolutely insane. But it reminds me of a similar thing where Metroid Dread feels like, look, we just like did this kind of game so well that I'm interested to sort of see where this genre goes from here. Because Metroidvanias are like a very popular genre to exist within right now. They could really use a big splashy new idea in this thing, because this game is just so well done. I'm like, I don't even know where you go from here, because, you know, the difficulty is intense and hard, but it also has that very satisfying arc of like, when you beat a boss, generally you beat them badly. Like in the same way that like something in Sekiro or Bloodborne happens, where I've got this person's number at this point. Yeah. I've played them so many times that like they cannot surprise me anymore. And it's so satisfying. Like it's really, really good that they brought that into a Metroid game, because that wasn't really the case for a lot of the previous entries. Yeah. The exploration's phenomenal. It like just the tactile feeling of controlling Samus was incredible. The story was like kind of like not simple, but it was sparse initially, and you know, there's not a ton of it, but it's super well done. I'm like very satisfied with that being the story that they told here. I think Samus Aran as a character is like great, although it's pronounced in game it's pronounced Samus Aran, and that's really tough for me. I've been saying it Aran or Aran for like, or whatever it is, for like 20 years. Samus Aran. Samus Garen. That's what I'm gonna start calling her. But yeah, it was good. I like really enjoyed how they kind of brought it all together and like did some explanation about like what's going on with Samus. And so it's really interesting to play. It is like, it's not exactly the same thing, but it does feel as fun to just go fuck around as it does in Hades, where it's like, I got some items I could go collect. Just like find somewhere to poke at the map and, you know, find a new thing. It's good. It's just a really fucking good Metroid game. Definitely play it if you can. It's good stuff.
It's definitely on my short list.
Finally, the last game that I've been playing this week, David.
Yes.
It is Valkyria Chronicles for the Nintendo Switch.
Oh my gosh, the return of the king.
Yes. It's Valkyria Chronicles. It's back. I got the Switch OLED recently. And I was like, I wonder what games look really good on this.
Ooh, I bet this looks so good.
It looks quite good. So just explanation, because I think there's probably a fair amount of people who don't know what this fucking video game is.
Probably.
Valkyria Chronicles is this like kind of watercolor anime style game that feels like Fire Emblem by way of World War II.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the game mechanics are very Fire Emblem, right? Like you have specific people and units that can die. They have permadeath, and you essentially will try and round out your army that you'll take into any given battle. Yeah, a lot of the way that you approach a certain battle is dependent on who you're bringing to the fight. The way that the battles play out is that you are in this like top-down sort of map, and you have all your units in one spot, and you know your goal is to, I don't know, beat the Empire on one side of it. And if you click into any of the units, it will go into like this third-person over-the-shoulder view where you have a certain amount of like movement that you can do in any given turn, and then you run up against some sandbag or something like that, and you can fire on somebody, essentially very similar to how Fire Emblem, you get like one attack that you can do in a turn. Similar sort of thing here, where you can like shoot, and it goes kind of like XCOM-y in the way that you have like a reticle, and it'll shoot kind of anywhere in there, and so your success is kind of just like a dice roll depending on what kind of character you're playing. Like shock troopers, they have a big old machine gun, so it behooves you to get right up in somebody's face, or a sniper unit has a very tiny reticle, and so you're very easily able to like hit somebody from very far away. And so you have like a certain amount of times that you can click on a character to like do an attack in a given turn. So you have these little like tokens that you can use, and then once you're out of those, it'll go to the other teams. Very Fire Emblem-y in that way. But I think it is different in a way that it certainly doesn't feel derivative. This was a game that came out a while ago. It was like from the PlayStation 3.
Valkyria Chronicles 4? Is that the one you're playing?
No, 1, the OG.
1? Oh,
yes.
Shit. Okay.
I was playing Valkyria Chronicles for the Nintendo Switch. Yes. Yeah. So, it's fun. Like I've replayed this game probably quite a few times, and I have a tendency to kind of like have memory loss when it comes to PlayStation 3 games. I feel like I remember so little of what came out on that console.
It was the lost PlayStation.
Yeah, I was like, it feels very weird. And so I forget sometimes that I love this game, because I really do. Every time I fire it up, I'm like, this fucking rules. I love like the way the tactics of it play out. The characters are all really fun. It's not quite as good as something like Three Houses, where there is so much depth to the characters, but it's still pretty fucking good. I still like enjoy, hearing the people talk to each other and kind of how those relationships develop. Essentially, the story is like you are playing as two people from Gallia, which is kind of this like cocktail of a bunch of smaller countries from World War II. Like it's as if like Belgium and Netherlands had some sort of like weird combination.
Well, it's a two deep cuts of European countries.
Yeah, well, it's like essentially you're caught between the like empire, which is supposed to be like kind of Germany, Russian sort of thing, and these like alliance countries, which is the Western sort of countries that fought in World War II.
Yeah,
and yours is just this tiny little country that's kind of caught in the middle of both of these forces coming together. And so it's again a very interesting perspective to take. I don't know that there's a lot of games that center so closely on one of these small countries from World War II. Usually you're either playing as definitely the Americans or definitely the Russians or something like that, or definitely the French, rather than like, I haven't seen a World War II game where it's centered around Belgium or something like that, So it leads to a lot of interesting stuff where like the people are very much under equipped to be fighting in this war, but they're kind of scrappy and fun. You have like one tank that you have in the beginning.
Scrappy. He's a real gym rat.
It's a real gym rat. You what's the name of the tank? The Edelweiss is your tank's name.
Edelweiss?
The Edelweiss. And it's like your big trump card whenever you go into a battle. Like you can pull one of those out and it like really starts fucking people up.
Tanks, man.
So it's good. I wish more people talked about this game because I find it so good and satisfying. And it's hard for me to tell if that's just because it matches so much of like the kinds of games that I like. It's got a lot of character-based progression. The maps get increasingly more difficult. The settings and stages become more dramatic. It's very anime in places, which
anime.
Love that. It's like gorgeous. It looks really good. So like that's definitely a plus. But I know that people like love this. This isn't like a game that nobody knows about, but I feel like it just isn't talked about enough. So yeah, here's my flag in the ground.
Chase will always stan Valkyria Chronicles.
Very much. Yeah, I think this game fucking is good. So yeah, those are the games I've been playing, which will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David.
Which is?
The satisfaction of beating a video game.
Few things sweeter in this world.
It's a rare little treat. I feel like I don't beat games all that often, despite playing a lot of them. It's like not always easy to beat a video game, but sometimes when you do, you're like, man, that was good. Put a bow on top of that experience and call it done.
Yeah,
man,
yeah, that was so good.
Similar, that happened with Metroid Dread, where I was like, fuck yeah, that was good. They gave me the outro fucking credits. They told me how long I played the game. They gave me the thank you for playing, and I was like, yes, that is the end of a video game.
Yeah. Thank you, Nintendo.
Thank you. Yeah. I feel like I'm getting closer into the time of the year where I start beating a lot of video games at once because I kind of want to like finish some of them by the end of the year.
Before the new crop comes in and the winter time.
Yeah. There's like a little bit of a lull, I think, right now. Like there was something coming out at the end of the month. Forza Horizon's coming out pretty soon, which I'm very excited about. The remakes
Halo Infinite.
Halo Infinite's coming out in December. That's going to be big for me. The Pokemon remakes of like Pearl and Diamond are coming out, which I'm pretty thrilled about. And I'm trying to think, I feel like I'm missing something, but it's not like a staggering amount of video games coming out over the next few months. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm very excited to roll some credits on some of these bad boys. I feel like I'm just nipping at the heels of beating Tales of Arise. I gotta get it. I gotta finish this video game.
You're close. You can smell blood in the water.
Yeah. I can smell anime outros in the water. Half English, half Japanese.
See their final move.
Fight the 3-stage boss and be done with this thing.
Kill God.
Probably. More than likely. Hey, is there something that's fueling your sense of Podtimism, David?
Yeah, it's a good dance club.
A good dance club? Like in a video game or just in real life?
In a video game.
Okay.
I always like it when there's a dance club level in a game.
Yeah, yeah.
In Katana Zero, there was a dance club level.
A good one.
And you would go and you would hide amongst the people and you would do like this really beautifully animated like upward fist bumping into the air while you're hiding from folks. Just gave it a lot of flavor. A lot of flavor.
A lot of spunk, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking back to the other times you could dance in clubs like Mass Effect, famously. Commander Shepard, Bug
Great clubs in Mass Effect.
Great clubs in Mass Effect. Going to the clubs in Grand Theft Auto.
I was just going to say, Vice City is usually the club that I think of.
Yeah.
Where like Village People knockoff band is playing YMCA in there.
Right? Yeah, just like a good club in a game. It's just fun. It's more fun than a club in real life.
Absolutely. I am 100% on board with that.
Clubs in real life always sound more fun than they are. Clubs in video games are always more fun than you think they will be.
Yes. Like walking into Afterlife in Mass Effect 2 is like, oh man, this is good. It feels really good. Gonna go hang out with Arya Latoke for a little while, see what she's up to.
Oof. She's a cool one.
She's a cool one. I do enjoy Arya. She's complicated. I like that.
Great character.
I'm trying to think of what other clubs. Wasn't there one in Heavy Rain? Was there a club in there?
That sounds really familiar, but I don't know.
I feel like one of my characters died in Heavy Rain in a club, which is maybe why I'm remembering it.
It sounds like something that would happen in Heavy Rain.
I got definitely sounds like in Heavy Rain. That game kicked my ass.
Jason!
Press X to go into the club. They're like, this comes up a lot in games, and I'm always like, another club. Then I get in there and I'm like, this is nice. This feels good.
I mean, could you count like Dance Dance Revolution as a dance club in a video game? Because I mean, the whole entire thing.
Yeah, it is dancing.
This whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Listen, if we can't consider DDR a club, what are we doing here?
We're not doing it right, that's for sure.
David, you and I need to talk at some point about Dance Dance Revolution.
Oh my God. Like how when I was a chunky high schooler and I had that dance pad and I was just stomping the hell out of the floor. I was stomp dancing.
Dude, it was a workout.
It was a real workout. It was great.
I was sweating my ass off playing that game.
That's a special one. That's a special one.
We'll need to have a Dance Dance special at some point.
I'm into it. I'm ready. I'll bust out my dance pad. I have it somewhere still.
That'll make for really great audio when we record us just stamping around on the ground. Well, great. Do you want to move on to our main thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, it's still spooky month.
It sure is.
It's still spooky month.
We're still spooking.
Still spooking. And we're going to do another good games. The segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gosh, all the things that we love about them. We've been on a spooky kick. Did Silent Hill last week, Clock Tower before that, and Dino Crisis before that. And this week we're going to do another spooky game. You've probably intuited by now, given that you've read the title of this podcast. But it's Fatal Frame. For the
Fatal
PlayStation
Frame.
2. Had you played this before?
I had not.
Neither had I, which I think this may be the first time that we've done that. Usually one of us have played one of these games.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like I tended to stay away from fixed camera angle games.
Yes.
Personally,
this one is definitely one of those, yeah.
Yes, it sure is.
Yeah, I hadn't played this either. I feel like I wanted to play Crimson Butterfly. I think that's the second one in the series. But I definitely didn't play the first one. It just looked too spooky for me.
It was just too scary.
Too scary. It was
scary for a little chase.
I was burned by Silent Hill. I couldn't do another one. Well, before we get too far into it, can I hit you with some hot stats, my friend?
Yeah.
Hot stats.
So Fatal Frame, number 1, based on a true story.
Is it really?
It's on the title card. I have no idea if that's actually like relevant or true in any way, but
could be.
It came out December 13th of 2001. Coming up on 20 years in December here.
Wow.
It was made by Tecmo before it merged with Koei. So it's not Koei Tecmo quite yet, just Tecmo.
Whoa.
They're mostly known for Ninja Gaiden. They made that one. The Dead or Alive series. Ninja Gaiden was pretty good. I like Ninja Gaiden. Monster Rancher, of course. And the Gallop Racer series. The horse racing video game.
Never heard of it.
Neither had I.
Yeah.
I do have a review from our friends at Joe Video for the game Fatal Frame. They reviewed Fatal Frame back when it came out, and they did it in French. And I have taken the review, run it through every Google language that I could find, translated it from one to the other, and finally spat it back out in English to better understand what they were really trying to get at. This one is concise. It's short.
Oh, yeah.
So let me read you what Joe Video had to say.
Let's hear it.
Fantastical themes will surprise the rest of the PS2 team. There is no goal that fans of all types don't want to miss. Find a new game with great success. 85 out of 100.
Is that Dr. Seuss? Are you sure Are you sure that was your video? Fantastical themes, right?
Fantastical themes will surprise the rest of the PlayStation 2 team.
There is like a slant rhyme in the second part of that too.
In miss and success,
There is a lot of rhyming in this one, and the meter changes too. That's kind of a slapper of a poem right there.
Yeah, it has a lot of meaning. It's very evocative.
We might have to try to publish that one. This should be a thing, trying to get Google Translate to make poetry.
Let me see if I can get the meter of this one down. I'm going to read it one more time, see if we can get a good take here. Fantastical themes will surprise the rest of the PS2 team. There is no goal that fans of all types don't want to miss. Find a new game with great success. 85 out of 100. Joe frickin' brought it.
This one hits on a lot of different levels. This is a special one. This is truly a special one.
I really did not realize that this rhymed until I spoke it out loud just now.
It has a cadence to it. It demands to be read a certain way.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe Video.
Thank you, Joe Video.
Y'all really brought it this time.
I sure did. Brought the heat.
Okay. Could you explain to me what Fatal Frame is?
Yeah, it is a third-person survival horror video game.
Yes.
With a fixed camera perspective, so you are moving around in a fixed space, in a fixed room. You are starring as a woman or a teenage girl? Is it?
You start the game playing as...
well, you're the guy first, right?
Yeah, you're the dude first. What is it? Miku or Mifuyo?
Mifuyu?
Yeah.
So you play as him. He's going into this house because he's trying to find someone else who has disappeared there.
It's
a
like
folklorist? Is that right?
I think he's his like mentor or teacher. It's like his writing coach or something.
Yeah.
He's like, where the fuck is my bro?
Yeah, where'd he go? So he goes to his last location and he disappears as well.
Yes.
And then his sister comes to try and find him.
Yes.
Only armed with their family heirloom, the camera obscura.
She actually doesn't bring it. He drops it and she just finds it.
Oh, fuck. That's right. Yeah.
No, it's just, I was more to the point of like, she really came into this with nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. She was not prepared.
No. I mean, neither was he, to be fair. He brought a camera.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Neither of them were thinking correct when they came to this house.
Nah, man. It's a spooky old mansion.
Yeah, so she finds the camera, and it has the power to take pictures of ghosts and ghostbuster them, essentially, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It drains them of their power, and then eventually you can beat them if you take enough pictures of them.
Yeah, so it's like Pokemon Snap, but with ghosts. And
a little bit. It's not on rails or anything, but yeah.
But point and click with a camera.
Yes, very much.
So yeah, that's pretty much the basis of the game, I would say.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Did you end up playing this, or did you just watch some streams of it?
I watched a stream of it.
I had played some of this. I played it for probably a few hours, and then whose stream did I watch? She's like a fairly big YouTuber, Gab Smolders. She played through like almost all of the Fatal Frame games. Apparently, she like loves these. Which is really great because not only is she like incredibly enthusiastic about Fatal Frame, but she also like knows Japanese and is like, yo, this part's good, but it's much better in the Japanese version, and then like pulls that up and starts kind of like translating in real time, which I was like, this fucking rules. This is a really good way to experience this game.
That's cool.
So yeah, I watched her stream of it where she played all of one. I think she beat it within like 4 hours. It was pretty nuts.
That's a speed run.
She blasted through that game. So yeah, watched it there. What should we talk about this game? Do you want to gush about this fella?
I guess with most survival horror games, the atmosphere has to be right, and I feel like they did a good job of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Has a very much like The Ring, The Grudge, like early to mid 2000s Japanese horror movie vibe to it. Yeah. Very hot at the time. It was.
Makoto Shibata, who was the director of this game, said pretty specifically, like, we are very much trying to invoke like both high and low budget Japanese horror film. And they really do here. It's like really fun to experience this because I think, there was a brief period where I think Japanese horror was in vogue in the United States.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I feel like my exposure personally was pretty low. And so it's kind of fun to experience it through video games, and like in the way that this game is very much trying to be a movie in the way that it's presenting itself. Like it's very, it goes after film pretty intentionally.
Sure.
You know, whereas like something like Silent Hill or Resident Evil, like that feels like a video game. And they're both going for film in their own way. But I think the tropes that this game leans on are much more common than they are to like video games specifically. And so that's really interesting and fun to experience because there's a lot of Japanese horror, right? Like there's a girl that has black hair and is staring at you kind of with her eyes directly up at you.
Spooky, ghostly looking girl.
Yeah, love that. There's a lot of jump scare in this game, and I have found that is something that is common in the Japanese horror that I've seen. That's not always the case, right? Like I've certainly seen movies where that's not the trope, but there's a lot of jump scares in this video game. It's intentional, right? Like you will constantly come around a corner and like somebody's arm is in the corner of the camera angle that you're looking at now. It's like, oh fuck, like that's so scary.
Spooky.
And you can do that because it's this like, you know, fixed camera perspective where you can turn the perspective very quickly and it allows you to like jump cut to something else, which like honestly is pretty effective. I wish it wasn't so horrendous to control for fixed camera games because it can be used really effectively in that way.
Just makes my brain hurt a little bit when I control a fixed camera game. I never feel quite in control. It's kind of like it's like using your left hand to write. It's like you can do it. You just have to think a lot harder about doing it to get it done, you know?
Well, this game specifically does almost exactly that too, because when you control the camera, when you go into camera mode, it goes into first person and suddenly you control where your person is looking with the left stick and you control their body with the right stick.
That's backwards.
It's literally backwards. In every other first person game, it is always the other way around. And it is so disorienting. Like, okay, I'm in first person. Here we go. And then I immediately just like look directly up into the sky as I'm trying to move my person forward. Like, God damn it.
Do they do that on purpose? I feel like they probably did it on purpose.
It's possible, like to disorient you and make it scarier. Yeah.
Just make it more difficult to control. Take agency away and power away from the player. You know,
panic when you see a ghost. Which, like, yes, I would panic.
I would panic.
Yes, I agree. In a long way of saying that the atmosphere rules in this game. I think they did a really good job of like setting the stage and making it very spooky. In a way that like isn't common to Dino Crisis, Silent Hill, Clock Tower, any of that stuff. It feels very its own thing.
Most definitely. It definitely is its own style.
Yeah. What did you like about this other than that?
I mean, I do applaud them for doing the unique combat system.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
It's just the camera.
Just the camera. I like that it forces you to build tension by having the camera do more damage the closer a ghost is.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
a little
fun.
risk reward. Yeah.
A little risk reward. And it forces you to kind of have to get in the face a little bit of the ghosties, which is, it definitely feels like the game is pushing you to go into those scary situations. It's not letting you kind of shy away. It's just shoving your face in it pretty much the whole way through. The whole way through. Which is nice for a horror game, right? It's making you it's forcing you to interact with it as opposed to hide or run away or anything like that.
Yeah, it's on the scale of the games that we've covered, you are not nearly as helpless as you are in Clock Tower. Like you have a way to fight back, which is fun. Yeah. It is not quite as helpless as Silent Hill. I feel like, well, Silent Hill, you have a gun and you can really like take down people, but I feel like the horror and the danger in that game is like the oppressive atmosphere that it creates. Yeah. Certainly less powerful than Dino Crisis, because like Dino Crisis is like it'll kill you, but you got like rocket launchers and shit in that game. Yeah. And so it kind of falls somewhere on that spectrum, you know, kind of towards the middle where there's combat and the game is intentionally very scary. And like when you go up against a ghost, it is like intimidating and like, oh fuck, this thing's gonna get me. And you can die, right? Like you can get damaged enough to the point where you die, but it does give you recourse. Like you can do shit. I don't know. I found that like cocktail pretty fun. It was kind of a nice change of pace from the game, so I'm just getting my ass kicked.
Where you feel totally powerless and just like kind of waiting to die. You know, whereas this one you're like, oh no, I can fight. I can get out of a sticky situation if I try.
It's very scary, but I can definitely like get out of this.
Resident Evil 4.
So the director, the Makoto Shibata, he was talking about how The game is incredibly intentional about its use of color, which I thought was really cool. That the game is, a lot of it is in black and white.
Yeah.
Like there's a pretty significant amount of it. And there is color in it every now and then, but they chose very intentional like colors and when to use them. Essentially, he had said that like they wanted specifically white to represent hope and black to represent fear. And so like how they balance the color in any of the scenes is sort of supposed to give an indication of like how a character is feeling at any given moment, which again is it's a very film driven approach to making games. Like a lot of they're relying on the visuals of something to communicate the mood or like how a character is feeling, which is kind of uncommon, especially then. I feel like in 2002, especially, like video game characters were just stating how they felt a lot of the time. Not that this one doesn't have like kind of rough voice acting, which we can touch on, but but it's interesting that they chose to put so much meaning behind the colors. They had also said specifically that red is supposed to be like the color of life, which is neat, especially given the kind of like buck wild story that starts presenting itself.
It's a little buck.
Did you look into this? Did you read anything about that?
A tad bit, yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But like in a way that is concise and like feels understandable. Essentially, for those who don't know about it, it's like from what I could tell, it's like this like mansion was like cursed quite a while ago because there was this ritual that was supposed to take place.
A strangling ritual?
Yes, where like these people would like take a woman and like tie ropes to her and essentially just pull her apart, which is brutal.
Pull apart all of her limbs and her head, right?
Yes. And like those ropes that they would use to keep the gates of hell closed.
Yeah, because there's a hell gate in the basement of underneath this mansion, like the basement of the mansion.
Yes. The last time that this happened, there was like this wrinkle that the woman who's supposed to be like, you know, sacrificed essentially had fallen into a relationship with this like other guy who was there. And they essentially were like, no, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And her like reluctance to do this like ended up kind of fucking up the ritual.
Yeah.
And like she's not like casted as like, oh, this shit caused it or anything. It was definitely like the cultists fucked this up. But as a result, I think they called it like malice came out of the Hellgate and just like killed everybody that was there. It was like a bunch of people, like 1,000 people or something, who are all the spooky ghosties who were at this mansion now. And in the game, it's essentially you have to go back and like right the wrong of this ritual not being done. And the character who's I guess she like comes back from the dead kind of the one who was like supposed to be in the ritual eventually decides like after seeing and being given kindness from the main characters, she's like, oh no, I think I can do this. Like you have treated me so well and like the love that you've shown me is gonna let me do this for, you know, quite some time.
Oh, right, because everyone who enters that mansion dies, but her brother didn't because he looks like the ghost girl's old love.
Like dead. Yeah, her dead love. And so, she like...
She lets him live. So he's in there somewhere still.
Yeah, essentially he was the one who was like showing her compassion and kindness even as a ghost. Which is like kind of a sweet story. I don't hate that at all.
A little bit of a romance.
Yeah, and so like you know, as brutal as some of the more specific parts of that are, like it's a very it felt like a very film driven story. Again, like I could see that playing out in a movie very easily because it's not, you know, it doesn't take 40 hours to explain that. Like I understand how that happens and like there are plot beats to it in a way that kind of mirror the way that a movie might get played out. And so, yeah, I genuinely thought the story was pretty fucking good.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Yeah. It was a fun story. Wild, different, interesting.
Yes, absolutely. The devs who worked on this said specifically that they drew a lot of influence from Silent Hill.
Hellgates and cultists and shit.
Yeah, so similar sort of vibe. And just like, you know, the very oppressive, scary atmosphere. It's not quite as overwhelming as Silent Hill was. And I think a lot of that has to do with like probably the sound design. It's just not as awful to like experience.
Yeah.
In a way that they intended to, but there was some
sound is pretty shrill.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The voice acting in this game is rough in the English cast.
Yeah, not too good.
No, it feels very phoned in and like again, sort of adds to the terror because you're like, this is not how people sound. This is not how normal people talk.
This is not a human being that I'm looking at right now.
No, not that I'm hearing. It's not so good. Yeah, what else do you want to say about Fatal Frame?
I want a lot of these PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 horror games to be remade a la MGS3 Subsistence.
Yeah.
With a controllable camera.
Yeah, the camera just being a little bit better.
I feel like that would make the game a lot more enjoyable. I know it definitely plays with that for some of the spooks sometimes, but I feel like you could do that just quickly and then give the control back to the player.
PT's scary, and that's a fixed camera.
That's true. That's first person, isn't it?
It is, but like, over the shoulder, you could make it work.
Yeah, over the shoulder I think could work well.
And like this game is in first person for a pretty fair amount of it. So
that's true.
Like some games I'm like, okay, so in Resident Evil, like is the wall that they're not showing me, is that even rendered in the first place? Like
sure.
They might be cutting corners. I don't know. But this one, like the whole game is there, like because you can look at it in first person. And so it's not, inconceivable to think that like you just give me control of the camera. That'd be fine. But yeah, like I feel like there's so many of these kind of experimental horror games from back in the day that I wish were still around in some way.
Yeah.
I feel like horror is definitely still a very popular kind of game, but it breaks down a lot of the time into a Slender Man-like experience where you're just running from some fucked up monster.
Sure, yeah. God, that game was scary, though.
Very scary. There's still a lot of those games that I see cropping up on, whatever streaming service or TikTok or something, like where somebody's just running from some monster.
Have you played Five Nights at Freddy's?
Vaguely, just barely.
There's so many.
Yes, there are quite a few.
Five. The first one got released like 2 years ago. What's happening here?
Yeah, that is a fandom that I have not gotten into. Not for like, I don't dislike it. I just like I'm like I don't really know what to do with this. Yeah, Fatal Frame rules. This game is like it overall just feels incredibly original, incredibly inventive. I love it when a game tries very purposefully to not just be a shooter. Like to have the verb be something different, and it's really cool to have it be a camera is your way to fight back.
Well, I mean, you're still shooting.
Very true. Very true.
But I see what you're saying.
Bazinga.
Bazinga is the appropriate word for right there because that's how I was acting. Was bazinga-ish.
The scariest thing about Spooky Month, David, is that the Big Bang Theory has been referenced in almost every episode that we've put out this month. That is the scariest part of this whole experience.
It's the horror Easter egg.
It's the most terrifying part. God.
I am Ashley Young Sheldon.
This can't be the reality that we live in. I refuse. Well, cool. Do you have anything else to say about Fatal Frame?
Nope, that's it.
Great.
We're on Twitter, everybody.
We are.
At Podtimism.
Yes.
Tweet us.
If you want to.
Let us know what you think of Fatal Frame. Go there to see Chase's beautiful editing jobs of our podcast.
Just a little teaser trailers.
Teaser trailers with visuals for a podcast. What a thing.
You know how it would be.
You know how it be.
I'm also posting those to TikTok now. We're going to see how that does.
We have a TikTok?
Yeah, I just made a TikTok earlier today.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, we're on TikTok as well.
It's at Podtimism.
At Podtimism, the only one out there. Yeah. Go watch our talks. What do they call them? What do they call them? TikToks?
I think it's a TikTok. Yeah, I think
we go watch our TikToks.
Yeah. I have never sounded older than this very moment right now.
I feel so old with the TikTok. Yeah. I said the TikTok. Fuck.
The TikTok. God.
What are you playing on your Nintendo tonight, honey? You can email us at Gmail at Podtimism. Podtimism at gmail.com.
You can email us at Gmail. Figure it out. We're on there somewhere.
Podtimism at gmail.com. Email us. Send us a link to your TikTok or something. That'd be cool. I guess
so, yeah.
You could do that. That's a very roundabout way of letting us know what your TikTok is. If you really want to help us out, you can review us on Apple Podcasts. You can like, subscribe, whatever it is. You can do it on any of your podcasting app of choice.
Yes.
And, you can also let a friend know about our podcast if you're so inclined and see if they enjoy it as well. They enjoy listening to two knuckleheads talk about games every week.
It's true.
And most of all, thank you.
Most of all, thank you.
Thank you.
It's awesome that you're here. We love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We love making this thing, and we love that you love listening to it. Maybe listening to it. I don't want to make assumptions.
Maybe sometimes I love it. Maybe sometimes like, this wasn't their best work. They phoned it in. David didn't even play the game this week. He just watched the stream.
We take those. That still counts.
We take those. Yeah, still counts.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for listening. We greatly appreciate it. You're the best.
Do you have any video game wisdom this week, Chase?
I think so. I think I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
The next time you're going into a haunted spooky mansion.
Spooky mansion?
Okay, I'm going to roll with the punch. Next time you go into a honky spooked mansion.
Spooky mansion.
Spooked. Oh boy. I haven't drank tonight. This is usually the part where my threads start to unravel. No.
Honky spooked magic. Magic? Mansion. Now it's honky spooked magic. That's what it is now.
That's my favorite Red Hot Chili Peppers album.
I was going to say that's my favorite Bruno Mars song. Wow.
Like whatever wisdom I had, there's nothing I'm going to be able to top that with. I was going to say bring your camera. That doesn't work.
Nothing's going to work against that.
I love it when we find the title of the episode right before the episode ends. It always gives me a lot of confidence that I won't have to work very hard to name this one. That's it. That's the end of the episode.
All right. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Goodbye.
See ya.